Today, we're diving into the third quarter 2025 report from Vistra Corp, one of America's absolute biggest power players. And really, to get what they do, you've got to picture a corporate juggler, someone trying to keep these massive power plants humming, profits soaring, and a few unexpected fires, literally and financially, from bringing the whole show crashing down. Okay, let's get into it. So this is the big question, right? How does a company this massive keep all those different balls in the air at once? Well, this report gives us a pretty fascinating peek behind that curtain. All right, first things first, let's get a quick snapshot of who Vistra actually is. So in simple terms, Vistra is basically a two-sided machine. On one side, they're generating huge amounts of electricity from all kinds of different power plants. And on the other side, they sell that power directly to millions of us, homes, businesses, you name it. This whole integrated setup is really the key to understanding how they work. Now for the main event, the financials. So, how'd the juggling act go this quarter? Let's take a look at the scorecard. So here it is, the bottom line. A net income of $652 million for the third quarter. I mean, that's a solidly profitable quarter for sure. But that number really doesn't tell the whole story. And here's why. The really fascinating part is when you compare it to last year. In the same quarter, their net income was over $1.8 billion. So what happened? Why the massive drop? It wasn't some collapse in sales. The report actually points to a nearly $1.7 billion swing in something called unrealized gains. Just think of these as paper profits, the value of their energy contracts that goes up and down with the market. So it's more of a complex accounting story than an operational disaster, but man, it really shows you just how wild the energy markets can be. Okay, so if that's the bottom line, how are the different parts of the business actually performing? Let's see how Vistra keeps all these balls in the air. This chart gives us a fantastic breakdown. You can see the retail side, selling power directly to customers, is the biggest piece of the pie by far, bringing in over $4 billion. But check this out. The power generation segments in Texas and the East are right on its heels, each kicking in well over $1.5 billion. This really shows you that two-sided machine we were talking about in action. And here's how they organize it all. Internally, Vistra splits its business into these 5 main groups. You've got retail, then 3 different power generation arms based on geography, Texas, the East, and the West. And finally, you have this asset closure segment, which has the super important job of shutting down and cleaning up old plants. Now, digging into those segments, there are some really interesting little nuggets. For example, the Texas generation business got a $145 million boost this quarter. And it wasn't from selling more power. It was from something called production tax credits on its nuclear energy. So what the heck are PTCs? Well, basically, they're a government incentive that came out of the Inflation Reduction Act to encourage clean energy. For every single kilowatt hour of carbon-free electricity that a plant like Vistra's nuclear facility produces, they get a tax credit from Uncle Sam. This is becoming an absolutely massive piece of the financial puzzle for clean energy companies. Of course, no juggling act is perfect. Every now and then, a ball gets dropped. In this quarter, Vistra had to deal with some really serious challenges and a few close calls. The biggest incident, by far, was a fire at their giant Moss Landing battery storage facility out in California. And we're not talking a small fire. This thing was serious enough to force the entire complex to shut down back in January. And as you can see from this timeline, they're still recovering. The gas plant came back online pretty fast, but some of the main battery units won't be back until late this year, maybe even next year. And the fate of one part is still totally up in the air. And the financial hit from this? It's substantial. The report says Vistra has already set aside an estimated $110 million just for the cleanup. So the takeaway here is that these operational hiccups have very real and very, very expensive consequences. And that Moss Landing fire wasn't the only headache. Vistra is also juggling a whole bunch of legal and regulatory issues. We're talking everything from an antitrust lawsuit in the nuclear industry to lingering lawsuits from that crazy winter storm Uri to trying to navigate these complex and ever-changing EPA regulations. It's just a constant, high-stakes balancing act for them. So, with all of that going on, what's Vistra's next move? Let's take a look at how they're planning to power the future. The report is pretty candid about a huge problem that's hitting the entire energy sector. These persistent supply chain issues and labor shortages are making it way harder and more expensive to build and maintain the grid. And Vistra's answer to all this uncertainty? It's to go long. They are making some huge strategic moves to lock in stability for decades to come. And this slide really lays out their strategy perfectly. They're not just making small fixes, they are making some massive bets. First, a huge 20-year deal for their nuclear power that locks in clean energy revenue for decades. Second, they're getting creative with old assets, not just closing coal plants, but converting them to run on natural gas. Third, they're doubling down on what already works by extending the life of another nuclear plant. And all of this is pointed at a brand new power-hungry customer, the absolutely explosive growth of AI and data centers. And they say it themselves, right here in the report. They see the demand from things like data centers is totally changing the game. It's creating a need for more power and faster than anybody really expected. They are clearly positioning themselves to be the ones who supply it. So when you step back and watch Vistra perform this incredible high-wire act, juggling the old world of coal with the new world of AI, balancing profits and problems, it leaves you with one final crucial question. What does all this tell us? Not just about one company, but about the future of the entire American power grid. It's a system in the middle of a massive change, and Vistra's story is really a preview of the challenges and the opportunities that are ahead for all of us.